Here in about a week, it is going to rain again. Oh, I think it said that January 3rd is supposed to start raining again. And so far, my big plan was okay. My big plan was I was going to put 10 pounds of nitrogen on the field a week, with the anticipation that 10 pounds is going to last me for about 1 inch of rain. And over the last week, I got about 2.5 inches of rain this last week. And so if the ground nitrogen, nitrate, you know, you got to remember that nitrate, the way that nitrogen fertilizer is negatively charged. And so when it rains, the nitrogen fertilizer will dissolve into the water, and when the water moves through the ground, that nitrogen water solution will go through the ground. And when it goes through the ground, it comes in contact with the plant root. And when it comes into contact with the plant root, it is absorbed by the plant, physically filtered out of the soil by the plant to be metabolized. And so next week, I might have to put the fertilizer on a little bit thicker. Oh, my big plan was to do 10 pounds a week, but if I'm getting a lot of water, if I'm having a lot of water on the field, okay, so water and carbon dioxide in a plant are very, very, very closely intertwined. Remember that the plant takes up water. Remember the big idea of water is that the plant will take up water because the atmosphere in the outside is drier than the ground itself. And so water will move up the plant like water moves. Like if I stuck a piece of paper towel into a glass of water, the water will physically move up the paper towel. And the reason it does that is because well, there are a lot of reasons, right? I mean, water molecules stick to water molecules. There's a lot of reasons. Like if I actually have a water molecule and I put it next to another water molecule, they will actually physically stick to each other. Like if you've ever actually seen like a drop of water next to another drop of water, they will physically like combine into each other. They will absorb, they will physically attach to each other. And so there are a lot of reasons for why water does what it does. But the big idea with water and plants is that the plant picks up water so that it is able to exchange it for carbon dioxide. And the reason, the big idea, the leading theory for why plants pick up water is because the atmosphere on the outside, like the atmosphere around the plant material itself, is drier than the environment around the soil. And because the soil is wetter than the air, the plant will absorb that water. And when it absorbs that water, it then releases it through its pores to trade it for carbon dioxide. And so water and carbon dioxide are very, very, very closely intertwined in the plant. And a lot of times, water and carbon dioxide are the limiting factors for plant growth. So if I increased the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, plants would likely grow more. If I irrigated my field and had more water on my field, plants would likely grow more. Water and carbon dioxide tend to be the leading reasons for usually the leading reason for why for limited plant growth. So on most fields, and then it's usually something like nitrogen, something like that. It's nitrogen is also very limiting in most environments. In most environments, if I put nitrogen on the field, the plants would do better. But that being said, it really only works to a certain point. Because if I increase let's say that there was a nitrogen deficiency on my field, and I put nitrogen on my field, and the plants start metabolizing faster, the metabolic activity of the plant goes up drastically. It will increase the demand for the other minerals as well. Phosphorus, potassium, calcium, sulfur, molybdenum, copper, manganese, sulfur, everything, selenium, everything. It will increase the demand for everything at once. And so fertilizer, the thing about fertilizer is that there needs to be You know, you got to understand these things to truly fertilize properly. And there is not any easy way to create a fertilizer program. Like me, if I were going to create a fertilizer program, I would have to go to the field, take a look at what's going on, you know, and I'll have to go and take a look. And you know, because if the pH of the soil is different, I mean, it really depends. You know, what kind of soil consistency do you have? You know, because like here, I got this black clay soil, but like, let's say that I'm near the beach, right? If I'm near the beach, my soil is going to be very sandy. It's going to be like sand. There are different types of soil, and different types of soil have different characteristics as well. Like clay soil has more negatively charged sites than the sandy soil. And so if I was working on a sandy soil, you know, the water would move through the sandy soil faster, and there would be less capacity for the soil to bind positively charged fertilizer. And so there are a lot of things that need to be considered. The easiest way to look at this is that there is zero such thing as a shortcut. Shortcuts do not exist. If a shortcut existed, the smartest people in the world would find it, and they would be the only ones. It would not be the average person. It would not be like people like you and me. It would not be people like you and me. If a shortcut truly existed, you know, it would be like there would be 1 or 2 people on the entire planet that could find it. And it's not going to be the average person like you and me. It's not. I mean, you're just gonna have to accept that. People are just not smart enough. Most people are not smart enough to come up with these brand new ideas. They're just not. You know, and you know, that's also an interesting way to look at it. I mean, if you really think about the things like me, you know, like really think about the things that are being thought about, and imagine that another person, somebody else, was thinking like you. Would that person be an idiot? If yes, then you are as well. I mean, you know, you got to really, you know, original thoughts almost never exist. Original thoughts are I mean, you got to be super intelligent. You know, like when I listen to these people who are actually smart, and they're talking about like I don't know, like antimatter and stuff like that. You know, you got to be extremely intelligent to come up with stuff like that. You know, and they're talking about all like I don't even know what these people talk about. I mean, it's nuts with some of these actually super smart. But these, you know, original thoughts do not exist. And so there are other people on the planet that are likely thinking the same thing. And a good way to look at it is like, you know, that's why I also say when I look at information, I do not look at the information that the farmer 2 towns away is providing, right? I don't look at their information. I don't look at this guy and, oh, you know, this guy down the street, you know, he said, 2 streets away, he said he don't use fertilizer on his field, and he said he planted oats in his ground, but his oats don't grow, and so he just doesn't do anything. He just threw in the towel on all that stuff, and he just takes what is given to him, and he doesn't go out, you know, on the hunt. Essentially, he doesn't go out and hunt for anything, right? He just sits there and just takes what is given to him. Oh man, I put fertilizer on my field and it didn't work. Oh man, I planted oats on my field and it didn't work, and so I just threw in the towel on that. I don't do any of that stuff anymore. You know, I don't look at the information that these people provide. I don't take it to heart. If anything, you know, when I look at information, I look at published scientific papers. Not only do I look at published scientific papers, but I come out and I take a look at my field myself. I take a look at my field myself, and when I take a look at my field, I go, okay, because this is all data, right? Like when I look at my field and I see all this going on in front of me, this is all information as well. This is all data. And so, there are a lot of people that see exactly what I'm seeing. A lot of people, more people do not see what I'm seeing, but there are a lot of people out there that see exactly what I'm seeing. practically to the 99.99999%. They are seeing what I'm seeing, and they are digesting data the way that I am digesting data as well. I mean, I'm not some like 1 in 10 billion chance of intelligence, right? I'm not even close. I had like less than a 1 GPA when I went to school. I graduated in like the bottom 20% of my high school class. I failed community college. I'm not like in like the top. I'm not like 1 in a 10 billion chance for intelligence. I'm not even close. Maybe I'm like maybe I'm in like the upper maybe I'm in the upper 40 percentile, right? Maybe maybe 4 out of maybe I'm smarter in terms of genetic intelligence. Maybe I'm smarter than 6 out of 10 people, but I'm not like in the upper I mean, I would not think so, right? Because I mean, like when I genuinely look at my life, it's like, man, I can't even do basic math. I can't even do I can't even like English and stuff like that, papers and grammars. I can't do any of that stuff. And I tried. I went to school and everything. And some of these smart people, they'll be like, "Oh yeah, I went to school, man. I didn't pay attention and I got straight A's." Me, I went to school, I didn't pay attention and I failed. And so I'm not like some incredibly intelligent person. Maybe I am smarter genetically than maybe but it really depends, right? Because when we talk about smart, what are we talking about, right? Are we talking about math? Are we talking about English? Are we talking about grammar? Are we talking about farming? I mean, what are we talking about, right? Because for a long time, I swear it on my life, my whole for about 15 years, the only thing I was interested in was becoming a farmer. And who is to say, like, am I really living the right life? I mean, who knows, right? Like if I told somebody, right, I can tell somebody this all the time. If you spent the next 15 years of your life doing what I did for the last 15 years of my life, just going balls to the wall, the only thing you cared about was farming, and you gave up everything else, legitimately gave up everything else. You didn't think about anything else. You didn't think about how your life was, you didn't go, "Oh my God, my life is too hard. Oh my God, the world is unfair. Oh my," you gave up all that stuff, and the only thing you focused on was farming for like the next 15 years of your life, and that's all you did for 15 hours a day. You can make $35,000 a month. Most people, even at that point, would not take it. Most people wouldn't. And I mean, but that's the reality of the situation. It's like, if people literally just focused on one thing, that was all they did, and they gave up everything else. "Oh my God, this person thinks that of me. Oh my God, this person thinks that. Oh man," just give up everything and just focus on that one thing. It could be anything. It doesn't have to be just farming. You could make it to an extreme degree. But I mean, it's like, is that really the right way to live? I mean, who is to know, right? Who is to know? Like, is it really a good idea to spend 15 years of your life working 15 hours a day so that you can make $35,000 a month? Is that really a good idea? I mean, who is to know, right? Who is to know? I mean, honestly, who knows, right? But I mean, it's like, what is right? I mean, it's like, who knows? Is that really a good idea? Is that really what the world should be doing? Should I really, if everybody dropped what they were doing tomorrow and they said, "Okay, for the next 15 years of my life, all I'm going to do is work 15 hours a day. I'm going to go and I'm going to live where I work, and all I'm going to do is work. And then in 15 years, I'll make $35,000 a month. I'll make $500,000 a year. And that's my life goal." I mean, is that really a good idea? I mean, I'm not going to actually, I would say that is wrong too, because money was not my life goal. Before I had money, because the $35,000 a month, I mean, before I had that, I didn't have any money, okay? A lot of people, they don't know, but when I first started, I used to urinate into a bucket every day so that I would have fertilizer to fertilize my crops. I would utilize that to fertilize my crops. When I started off with a shovel and a $5 sack of chicken manure. And that's what I did for about 5 years. I used to go to the river to catch fish, to plant to put the fish under. You know, I used to go out and I used to catch fish at the river, and I used to put the fish under my, you know, I used to bury the fish in my garden. You know, a lot of people, they don't know. You know, they don't know what it takes to become this level. They don't. And most people, even if I told them what it takes, they would not take it. They wouldn't. They would live, you know, whatever, right? I mean, but is it, you know, who is to say, you know, right? Like, is my life right? I don't know. Is this a good idea? Should people actually go and work their whole lives, work 15 hours a day so that they can make $40,000 a month, $35,000 a month? Should they actually do that? I don't know. And I'm not the person to say, you know, I do not accept judgment from man, and I also do not, you know, pass judgment onto man. I don't pass judgment onto man. I don't say this is the right thing to do. You know, at the end of the day, I believe in the things that I believe in because of the things that I went through. And so, you know, if somebody actually wants to make it to this level, I'm just going to say that this is what it takes. That's all I can do. I mean, it's not like I can be like, oh, this is the right thing to do. Everybody should do this. And if you do this, you're probably, you know, you'll have lived a good life. I can't do that stuff. That's not for me, right? Like, I'm not some angel sent to earth, right? That's not me. All I'm saying is that, you know, well, just from my experiences, most people, they can say whatever they want about money. Oh, money's not important. Oh, you know, I got this and I got that, and money's not very important. But if they had the chance to make $35,000 a month, they would completely change their mind. Most people would. Most people would. If they actually had the money, if they actually saw the money, they would change their mind. They would understand, oh yeah, money is very important. You know, I can go and do whatever. Because here's the thing, right? Like, if I have a dream but I don't have any money, what am I going to do? You know, just sit there and dream? Like, what am I going to do, right? I mean, what can I do? I can't really do anything unless I have the money. If I have $40,000 a month going into my bank account and I have a dream, I can go and do whatever I want. And so, I mean, you know, money is important. Money is very important. And there is zero circumstance where we live in a world without money. You know, even before we had dollar bills and stuff like that, people were trading gold and silver coins. People were trading freaking seashells, right? I mean, people were trading copper. People were trading things, silk. People were trading things. There will always be some sort of money. It does not have to be a dollar bill, but there will always be some sort of money. You know, I could trade, you know, there will always be some sort of money. Always. And so, you know, why is that? It is because people deep down, they understand that money is important. A lot of people who say that money is not important are saying money is not important because it is so hard to make money and they would rather give up on it. You know, if they make their $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 a month, that's enough for them, and they don't care about anything else. Legitimately, that's what they're saying when they're saying money's not important. And so, I didn't make the rules, right? I didn't create humanity out of nothingness. Humanity is what it is. And even when you look at animals, you know, there are birds that collect stones. You know, they'll build their nests out of stones. You know, and this idea, the idea of money is that money does not have to be a dollar bill. There are things, you know, we collect things of value for a reason, right? And it's ingrained into us. It's ingrained into everything. I mean, I did not make the rules, right? I did not make the rules. I did not create humanity out of nothingness. And so for probably until the end of time, and you know, these things that I say on my channel, like, oh, nitrate is a negatively charged fertilizer and the ground is negatively charged, and if the plant root comes into contact with the fertilizer molecule, it will absorb it. and then it will metabolize it, and when the sunlight goes through the plant material, it will interact with the chloroplast cell. There's a cell in the plant called chloroplast, and when the sunlight goes through it, it will create sugar, and that sugar is the energy source of the plant to essentially create a chemical reaction for the plant to grow. When I say these things are more true than they are an opinion. More than likely, until the end of time, until the end of humanity's existence, until the end of the universal existence, these things will probably be true. Okay? I mean, it's not like I just came up with this stuff. It's not like this is my opinion. You know, these things that I say on my channel, they are more than likely going to be true until the end of the universe as we know it. And so it is important to learn properly when learning, because a lot of people, you know, it's easier to form a new habit than it is to break a bad habit. And once somebody has learned improperly, once they have learned, you know, incorrectly, it becomes very difficult to actually help that person in any sort of way. Because you know, like me, okay, so helping people, like this is about as good as it gets in terms of actual help. Because in terms of help, okay, so there is help, and then there is like the idea of people who ask for help and they're not actually asking for help. They're crab potting, right? They're not actually asking for help. What they want is somebody to just hold their hand until the end of time. That's what they mean by, you know, because when I say these things, and you know, this is about as good as real help is going to get, because the rest of it is up to you, right? It's up to the individual. Once I show what's possible, right? It's not like, oh, I'm going to go and start, I'm going to create this imaginary plan for people to go and make $35,000 a month. It's going to be an imaginary plan. This field right here makes that kind of money. Granted, it only makes that kind of money for about 5 months out of the year, but 4 to 5 months out of the year, but still, that is a lot of money. You know, and realistically, if I can do this on this field, I can do it on 50 acres. You know, I can double this, triple this, whatever I want. You know, realistically, I can. It's not gonna be like I'm trying to go and do some epic thing. Is not. You know, if I fivefold what I'm doing here, it's not really even gonna be that big of a deal for me, right? I mean, I can go and do it. And so, and that's also something important. Over these next about 4 months, this is something that I've been thinking about. In about 4 months, it'll be time for me to pay taxes. And when I file taxes. And when I file my taxes, that's also when I file my income. And so I have to figure out, am I going to sell the rest of my animals before I file taxes this year, so that I have more income on my tax sheet? And then I can ask the bank for more money next year to buy more land? Or am I just going to hold on to my animals so that I don't have to think about investing more into my business with the capital that I generate this year? Because if I generate a whole bunch of capital this year before it's time to file taxes, that'll also increase my tax burdens. And so if I want to decrease my tax burdens, I'll have to reinvest into my farm. I will have to reinvest the earnings back into my farm. And it's like, you know, one of the things that I'm thinking about right now, one of my 3 to 4 month kind of things that I need to get accomplished is my taxes. Am I going to hold on to the majority of my herd until after I file taxes, and then sell my herd after I file my taxes, so that I can put my income on my next year's taxes? Or am I going to sell my herd before I file my taxes this year, so that I can write my income on my taxes this year, so when I go to the bank next year, I can ask for more money from the mortgage lender. I can ask for more money from the lender. So that's something that I got to figure out here too. You know, that's something that I've been thinking about for the last couple of days. Because, okay, so long story short, in terms of the business side of things, if I already have enough money on my income, that I believe that I have enough money on my income this year, and I don't have to make any more money for the bank to look at my paperwork and say, you know, we'll give him as much money. You know, let's say I'm looking to borrow $500,000 next year. If I'm looking to borrow $500,000, right, that's going to be about on the USDA rate at a 4. You know, the USDA rate right now, their interest rate's about 4.25. And so if I wanted to borrow $500,000 from the USDA, it would be about $2,750 a month, about $3,000. $3,000 a month. And if I want to borrow $3,000 a month, I need to think about tripling that. And so if I want to borrow $500,000 at 4.5% interest on a 30-year term, I'll need to make about $9,000 a month on my paperwork. And as of right now, I've already made that money. I mean, you know, $9,000 a month is what I make when I'm not doing very well. And so I already made that money. And so I'm kind of debating, you know, do I want to still put more income on my paperwork so that, you know, I can put myself in a safe spot, or do I want to risk it for the biscuit? You know, do I want to hold on to my animals until I filed my taxes and then sell my animals so that I don't have to worry about reinvesting that income back into my farm to reduce my tax burdens? That would be the risk it for the biscuit plan. Or if I wanted to put myself in a safe spot, a safer spot, I could sell my animals before I file my taxes, write the income on my tax form this year, reinvest, and then you know, just look to reinvest as quickly as I can. Reinvest back into my herd, you know, before I have to file taxes, so that I can increase my income, but also reduce my tax burdens from that increased income. I have to figure that out. That's one thing that I have to figure out on terms of the business side of things. And my animals that are going to market this next month, here in a couple of weeks, here in a few weeks, look very good. I'm gonna make some good money on them. But the animals that I'm planning to take to market here in about 3 to 4 weeks, I will be making good money on them. This is one of them right here. She's one of them right there. I got another one over that way. But I'll be making good money on these animals as well. And yeah, I mean, yeah, you know, like right now I'm not doing very well. I'm pushing myself, as you know, going 75%, going 80%, taking the easy way. It sounds like a good idea, right? It sounds like a good idea. Why push myself 100%? You know, why push myself to 100% to make myself an extra $40,000 a year? That's how some people think. That's not how I think at all. Because me, I'm like, okay, if I can make an extra $40,000 a year, I will gladly take the discomfort. I will gladly push myself 100% every day to make it, because I'll go and be happy with the $40,000, right? I'm not gonna be like, oh, why? You know, I should just go 75%. I should just cruise control at 75%. Why push myself so hard, right? Why push myself so hard? You know, why push myself so hard, right? You know, why not just go 75%, not risk anything? Just go 75, 80%, stick it on cruise control, and just go through life like that, like a little fawn, right? Why not just go through life like that? But me, I don't think like that at all. The way that I think is, if I go 100% and I make an extra $40,000 a year, I may be more tired and I may have gone through more, drastically more, but I'll go and be happy with my $40,000. You see what I'm saying? Like, if I got that 40 grand in my bank account, I'll go and find something to go and be happy about. I'll go and buy myself a new gun. I'll go and buy myself more land. I'll go and buy myself a new truck. I'll go and be happy with that stuff. I'm not going to sit here and tell myself I'm going to be happy going 75% and making $80,000 a year. Like right now, you know, maybe, actually, I probably make a little bit more. I probably make about 100,000. Like if I go 75%, maybe I make about 100,000 a year. Maybe about 110,000. But if I really push myself and I go 100%, I could push that up to 140, 150. And with that extra 40 grand, I'll go and find something to be happy about. That's just how I think. I don't think that it's a good idea to go 75% at all. I don't think that that's a good idea. It may sound like a good idea, and a lot of people, they think that it sounds like a good idea. A lot of people, they do. They genuinely do. They think that it's a good idea to go 75, 80% and just cruise control. But to me personally, that is not a good idea. If I make an extra $40,000 a year because I put in 20% more effort, 25% more effort. But here's the thing is that, like, if I'm going 80% and I want to go, if I'm going 75% right, and I want to go to 100%, it's going to feel like I have to put in 35% more effort because I've been going 75, 33% of 75 is 100, is 25. And so it's going to feel like I have to put in drastically more effort to get that last 25%. It's going to feel like I have to put in drastically more effort to get that last 25%. But it is still better to go 100%. If going, 35%, putting in 35% more effort ends up with me making an extra $40,000 a year, I'll make the $40,000 a year and go and find something to be happy about. I will take the $40,000 and I'll find something to go and be happy about. Sitting here and doing nothing long term is, putting in 75% effort long term is not going to provide happiness. It's not. And here about next week on the first of the month in January, I'll be refertilizing my grass. My fertilizer plan for my grass right now is to put the fertilizer on the grass as lightly as possible, just to collect more data on the grass. And I do have ample moisture, which is very, but it's also cold. It's below freezing. In the evening, it gets to below freezing, and so it's cold. But I'll be putting fertilizer on my grass. The plan is to go somewhere around 10 pounds of nitrogen a week, but that really depends on how much water I have, depends on the amount of heat I have, depends on how much sunlight I have. It depends on a lot of things, depends on how dry my ground is. Once I start noticing that there is a phosphorus or potassium or likely a phosphorus deficiency in my field, I will say, okay, the phosphorus in my field has just about been depleted, and now it is time to switch my fertilizer plan up. Now it's time to go back into create a different fertilizer plan. But right now the plan is to put fertilizer on my field at a 1-to-1 mixture of urea and ammonium sulfate every week at about 10 pounds of nitrogen per acre, depending on the weather and all other circumstances. But that's the rough idea of what I'm looking to accomplish. That's the direction that I'm heading, and as I head that way, I will see what happens, and I will do what is necessary accordingly. But that's it for me today, YouTube. Y'all have a good one.